Welcome to episode 7, which is about the so-called price trajectory, which is again not the price target itself, but it's a forecast of the evolution of prices based on astrology. This means that I combine each and every day all the influences that you see in the detailed financial calendar, and I try to see how it will go. It is really a very, let's say, complex computation because I take into account also nakshatras and several influences here. It will give a picture of the evolution, but it will not tell you absolutely what the price is, what percentage is the difference, and so on. Maybe it can help, when you are 1 week in advance to really go into the Fibonacci, for example, and you see the price levels that are more likely to happen based on the astro intensity or support and resistance levels that are key. I want to tell you that usually I use the 1 hour chart in most cases, even if I think about a longer duration. And based on this, I adjust the estimation on my side, so it helps. Of course, there are really situations when we do have eclipses, planets turning retrograde or direct, which means that they are stationary before, and this is a nightmare in the sense that it will result in a consolidation, or half of the aspects that are really due to those dates are executed, the others are all delayed. Like it happens now in the beginning of October. I filmed this on the 3rd of October, and we just had the eclipse on the 2nd of October 2024, so yesterday, and we see that there is a huge lag, in my opinion, that I cannot even right now estimate. The single thing that I estimated is that we run now in a consolidation. But for the week, all the negative astro was executed, so to speak, and we saw it in action, including the weekend. And then the positive one still has an orb, because we have each day positive aspects. Therefore, I predicted the eclipse as positive in nature, but they will manifest afterwards. The orb of influence is 10 days for such aspects, and we have several of them. So I would be surprised if they are not really executed, but it could be that we need to wait until 9th or 12th of October. Of course, a lot of time in advance, we cannot really know that. We can't know that we will have a war, for example, again. And this was actually pretty foreseeable with the Mars transitioning into the shadow period in Cancer. And I think this will be a long-running topic until April 30th, 2025, unfortunately. It won't be on all the time, but it will be on and off, fluctuating like the moon phases, And this week, I mean the next one actually, this week, this means that already Jupiter and Pluto are on top of it, stationary. Jupiter is about to turn retrograde, and then Pluto direct. So this, opposite direction of 2 important planets also show, a big change, but then it would be at first in a way, and then it will switch again. So I expect that Pluto turning direct, which will be on the 12th of October, will really unlock everything. Hopefully it happens earlier, but at this point in time, it is for me difficult to say exactly what will happen. Of course, we look at TA and try to map it with the astrology. Now, I would like to really close this introduction with the fact that it is important to take into account that planets can go retrograde, eclipses can happen, they can turn direct after they are retrograde, and all these are written in the global astrology section of the financial calendar. So it's very important to read these and also to read the global astro for Bitcoin, because that section will tell you about key dates, and you will see also disruptions in the trajectory, and I will share these with you, and they work. Again, don't take them absolute, not even as percentages, because we see how prices are. We see that well in advance, it is super difficult to tell any reliable targets. I also don't want to redo and correct again and again. So it's rather, I'm primarily an astrologer, therefore I would stick mainly to astrology. Of course, I might consider some, weekly based price updates or something like that, but not so well in advance. This being said, I want to dive with you in the month of October, which is actually the first month of the whole report for the quarter. And this would be the most detailed, and it will be explanatory. And I will explain also the other two and how I interpret it high level. And this way you will have a full picture of the trajectory. So let's go into that. What is a trajectory and how does it look like? What is its shape for October? We do have the October price trajectory Astro-based for Bitcoin, and you receive them for each month separately. We do have here an outline of the whole month, and this is a two-dimensional representation. It's an x-axis and y-axis. The x-axis, so the horizontal one, is with the days of the month. So in October we have 31 days from the 1st of October until 31st of October. And then we do have the intensity, so to speak, which is a scale that is also negative. So negative doesn't mean that only negative is a drop, but a negative means that it is a more consistent drop in most of the cases, because we will see we have the scale pretty positive in general. So how do I read it, so to speak? I do have values here that you see they are close to 100 in October, and we should really say that around the date, I don't commit exactly on the date because some days are weekends, and we saw that we had the most interesting astrology during the weekend, but we saw it manifested either on Monday and Tuesday usually, unless we don't have stationary planets like right now, October 3rd, and also an eclipse on top of it. This complicates things further. Now, here in this graphic, you can see that we start really at 54, sort of. People who, I don't know, I didn't share for September, but of course I tested it. So in September, I'm already said that it will be a dump at the end. And this is what we experienced, even, from a bit over 66K to now 60, 62, 62, 5K. So it really fluctuates a lot right now. So we can't say that it stopped at this level, so to speak. And this is, let's say, a low value. So always you should really think, okay, what is the price with which I start the month? And then we can see a slight recovery after that. And this would be on the 2nd, 3rd. Happened a bit, but it's not stable, as you see. So yesterday, for example, the day of the eclipse, it went again from 60 and something to 62 and something, but it didn't really stay there. Then we do have some drops, adjustments that would happen, but don't really think that 52 is really absolute in terms of price less than 54, because these are close, So this means that we will have a bit of increase and then the price will hover around the level where it was in the beginning. But then again, we will have a increase in price. So you can expect a movement upwards. And this is also confirmed by the astrology. We will look at that in a minute. Then we do have again an adjustment, and you see here values like 46, 34, so they are less. This means that we could have less, but not necessarily, so it's a move downwards. And as you see, it will be a trajectory that is not really, with a clear trend. You can see that. Also, I want to say that these two values are not necessarily the same price, but it's somewhere nearby, because it's very volatile. You see how it is. Then we will go up again, and this is a good value, so it should really maintain the level and go a bit up, so to speak. It could be that these two will be actually quite the same price, because they are pretty close. Then again, so what you can really infer from here is the fact that we will not have, it's most likely that we will not have a super big jump. Big jumps usually happen when it's a big difference in value. Like, for example, I noticed 40. So 40 or 50 from, for example, 78, if you go to straight to 20, even 34 could be, but it's not really so big. But if it's 20, then it could be a big drop. Like, for example, here we can expect really a big adjustment at the end of October. So then we see here around the 15th of October, the absolute peak, so to speak. Again, it is not really absolute in terms of price, but the price will go up towards the mid of the month. And we even have, after this peak overall, from 16th, 18th, we see, so this mid of the month, we can see also, a correction, then it will go up. So I think here we will have a lot of volatility. That will happen, until around the 24th. Again, this is not factoring in weekends. You are used to lower transaction volume, but also there are holidays, and in holidays, if the US market is closed, for example, nothing much will happen. But in some cases, it will happen, like it was the 4th of July. I think everybody remembers the dump this year. So you cannot really say, again, I cannot predict the transaction volume. I can go, with a astrological shape of the trajectory. But then we can see a local bottom towards 25th, 26th, as you see, and then it will recover again. But it won't be, most likely it won't be really the peak here, but it will be close to it. And it could be that after a sharp drop, we will have the month really closing on a positive note that would be hopefully better than the beginning of it, in my opinion, because we know that October has in general historically a good reputation. And this is what I wanted to share in regards to the price trajectory. Also, it is important that we really see the major peaks and bottoms, so to speak, the big astrological events exactly to the date, based on the astrology that is specific to Bitcoin. And we do have a promising aspect this month, and this is on October 15th. And this is a low intensity influence from Saturn. You really find this section in the financial calendar as well, but I put it here for completion purposes so you have it nearby, so to speak. So this is really the major thing that I write you each and every month, the major thing for Bitcoin and for any other altcoin. So if some major thing really happens, then this means that we can go, to a new local high or bottom that would be here, in the mid of the month. So maybe we will go higher than 75, maybe we go 76, 78K, could be. So this is a possibility. Here I don't mean the K. It is 78 like point system in astrology for the intensity of the influences. And then, of course, I say that yes, these are, I know this is still difficult to grasp for some people, but unfortunately, astrology, especially these big planets like Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, they will have influences like weeks that would be very, very strong, and they will be felt even months around the date where they are exact. So this is really the correct way to interpret them, because suddenly you can see, a big peak and then say, oh, Venus was the culprit for it. No, it's never Venus. It is a combination of that Venus that happens on the day that you can quantify better in time, or a Casimir, for example, between Mercury and Sun, but actually the whole thing is fueled usually by an outer planet, which is Jupiter, Uranus, or, it could be the North Node Rahu, or even Saturn in this case, that would bring a sort of, more moderate growth in general. It's not like Jupiter, but it still brings growth. So here you can see a correlation always between the big thing that happens here in the astrology and the price trajectory usually. So you should see that. So this is what I wanted to share. So we will have a local peak around the mid of the month, possibly even so between the 16th, 15th, let's say 15th, 24th, roughly, it will be big. We will have a correction here. I think it will be very volatile because we have several aspects with Uranus. If you look at the calendar, you will see a lot of fires, also Bitcoin fires. And then we will have a dump at the end of October, but then a recovery. Recovery might not happen so fast like here, but I don't remember that we have, another thing that is stationary. So hopefully it will go fast. This is what I wanted to share. Thank you for your attention, and let's go with the next.